TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the morning for the Breakfast Bankroll, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. OMG. The staples back-to-school commercials are gone. Bring in the pumpkin spice. 2 months till Halloween, so 'tis the season. A couple days from now, Kansas City and Baltimore, rematch of the AFC Championship, as Kansas City steamrolled into Baltimore and headed on to the Super Bowl and, of course, their Super Bowl championship. A rematch. Currently, I'm seeing Kansas City 2.5-point favorites. I don't think you'll see 3 at closing bell there. So keep your eyes on that. For me, if you like Kansas City, I would just play the money line. If you like the Ravens, I'm buying the hook and take Baltimore up to 3 and sprinkle a little pizza and beer money on that money line as well. Great show to start the week. Good friend and colleague, one of the best in the business, Andrew McInnis. We've been doing shows for years now at Wager Talk on my channel, on his channel. Big news in the NHL before he comes on. I'll let him break that. So it was funny. I was talking to a good friend of mine about the potential of this superstar. The Bruins getting maybe a little, hey, let's give them a 2-for-1. We'll give them Bergeron and Swayman for this gentleman that just signed for a boatload of money. Wonder what Andrew thinks there. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships, of course, WagerWire. If you haven't downloaded the app, please head on over to Google Play. Download it. It's free. I promise you it will be one of the most used apps throughout the rest of this season and, of course, into 2025 and beyond. Viva Tequila Seltzer, CT Bets, the family, the best in the business. We're cuckoo for coconut here back east. Head on to where you go, watch the games, or where you go to purchase your adult beverages. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. They'll take great care of you, I promise. And last but not least, Terry Smith, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, our newest sponsor and partnership. Head on over to Facebook. Search Terry Smith, search Atlanta Steaks and Seafood, head on over to that website. I'm telling you, the best customer service in the world and the quality second to none. Yeah, I know you heard of Omaha. This is a step above Omaha. So without further ado, let's bring in the one, the only, Mr. Andrew McInnis.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Like we said last week, Jeff, that crisp feeling in the air tells us one thing and one thing only. It's football season and also almost hockey season, so I'm looking forward to it. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, I have a lot to talk about today, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but the three F's come into play now: football, fall, and fools. Okay, and I say it that way because on social media, of course, 'tis the season for all the trolls to come out. They got nothing better to do. Nothing better than seeing someone with 6 followers coming out bashing what people have been doing, you know, for not just weeks, not just months, but for years and coming up on decades here. And it's kind of comical, Andrew. I went on Sports Grid last night. I'm going to beat myself up here. You'll get a kick out of this. I'm wearing my BC shirt because I'll be working. Me and Anthony will be up at the Heights on Saturday, opening day against Duquesne at 3:30. And I had BC team total under 16.5. I couldn't have been so wrong. I could not have been so wrong. Egg on my face. I mean, it was just a total whiff. That's all it was. And then
Was it a win-win for you a little bit? Did it feel at all like a win-win, or it's you still obviously you want to hit the pick, but I mean, those are your guys, right?
I enjoy going up there. It is an event. I enjoy the team coming in their suit coats, their ties, the march, the band. It is ACC. It's big time football here. But again, it's not like you're down in Death Valley. You're not in Clemson. You know. So it's a different feel. But I'm excited for the Bill O'Brien era for sure there. So then we transitioned to baseball, and it was Scott Wetzel and Brady Kannon. And Scott goes, Jeff, what do you think of the Cubs and the Pirates game? And I was like, well, the number smells to me. I says, we're on the Pirates plus 137. We're on their over on the team total 3.5. Well, it looked bleak, obviously, till the 8th and 9th inning. Not only do they win, they get their team total. Brady Kannon asked me about the Yankee game. He says, well, we like the Yankee team total over, and we'd like them full game minus a 1.5. So I go 4-0 in baseball, and the one thing that sticks out to me, of course, is the loss in the college football game.
And Jeff, you just described what it's like for all of us that bet on a daily basis, that invest, that whether or not you're in any type of market where you're putting something at risk. What do you remember? Not the wins, right? And that's the thing. And I think it's a good thing though, because unlike all these people that are creating these accounts, like you say, that are coming out of the woodwork on Thursday, they're going to be the best NFL cappers we've ever seen that have never had a losing bet in their life. Those are the ones that hurt us the most. You know, when I was on my big CFL run last week, a couple weeks ago, I couldn't tell you really what all those wins were. But I could tell you every play that screwed me in the losses that I had, right? So I get where you're coming from, and that's just natural, I think, for all of us, is because we want perfection, because we don't make any wagers thinking we're going to lose. So you don't care about the winners. You just care about the losers and why they lost. But that game was crazy, and, of course, we don't need to get into what it was about, but the whole social media thing, I'm sure you saw it with that guy deleting all of his accounts on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I thought that was pretty funny. And one thing that baffles me, Jeff, is that when you've got a team laying that many points and they struggle to put up even as many points as they're supposed to win by. That's what was craziest to me. It'd be one thing if the game was an absolute shootout, right? And Florida State, just their defense was leaking and they couldn't get a stop. But to me, that's not the issue. It was that they couldn't create offense. And that, if you had a bet, on FSU or you're a fan, that is almost the more worrisome factor. I think that, I saw Pat McAfee, he tweeted, I know everyone's going to crap all over FSU here, but can we give a little bit of credit to Boston College? So I'm going to ask you, because you're the college football guy. I pick my spots. I'm a low-volume guy with it. How much credit do you give to Boston College, and how much is it just a bad job on the other side?
Well, we can play Monday morning quarterback here. Obviously, BC 26-point underdogs last year when Florida State traveled to the Heights. It was a hurricane coming up the coast, and I think it might have closed around 24.5. BC had the ball. Castellanos quarterback and driving late in the fourth quarter to tie and to win that game, and then they turned the ball over. Now, Florida State goes undefeated, third-string quarterback. They're left out of the Final Four. They go to a bowl game against Georgia, and they lose 63-7 or something stupid like that. Now, speed it up a year later. Florida State travels to Dublin to face Georgia Tech, double-digit favorites. Georgia Tech walk-off field goal to win the game. Florida State stays a couple extra days, comes back home, gets the couple extra days rest, though, because the game was last night on Monday. In comes Bill O'Brien, in comes BC, same quarterback, whole different coaching staff, whole different scheme. BC ran for 270 yards. And all the talk before the game was Castellanos, and Bill O'Brien. It wasn't, the next coming to the Nebraska of 1983 in the wishbone here. I mean, they just carved him up. But what people will talk about most is how bad Ukulele, I'll call him Ukulele, is DJ, the quarterback for Florida State. He could not hit water in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a boat.
And that's sometimes, Jeff, it's as easy as that. And you hate to say it because I like the expression you say there with Monday morning quarterback. It's very easy to rip one particular guy, but sometimes is it as easy to do that? I think a few weeks ago, it pained me. It pained me because you know how much I love cheering for the locals where I'm from, but the kicker that cost me a ticket, 3 for 7 from field goals, sometimes in a game, one player can cost a team, and I'm sure there was all kinds of more things that went into it, and I wouldn't say he cost them the point spread. They weren't going to cover that spread. Boston College played great, but the win itself and even just like the reputation, you see that the morning memes, we'll call them, going around social media today. If you're having your coffee and you're looking at your phone, it's hilarious. And now the question is, how much will we see Florida State's line be adjusted? Because you know what happens, Jeff, in every single football league and in every sport in general, you and I are going to be able to make money on that team at some point this season because of the overreactions. And that's when the social media players, that's when the overreactors that didn't jump in, because all the people that took FSU last night are going to want to fade them as fast as they can. And it's like you say, you're a day late and $1 short. They might go ahead and get a much cheaper line due to their first 2 weeks, the struggles, and then go ahead and cover that one in the following week or the next week. And so I find that very interesting is that, of course, each week is a new week, but you also want to look at it this way. When are we going to be able to kind of buy low on this team? Maybe it sounds like I'm overreacting. It's only been 2 weeks, but all those people that tweeted out that they love, their favorite play of the season so far is FSU. They're going to want to bet against them as fast as they possibly can.
Oh, and don't forget now, Clemson got embarrassed to Georgia. So the ACC, the Clemsons, the Florida States, now that's all anyone's talking about is Miami. The tweets were coming out, when will Florida State win their first game? They're going to start 0-6. They've already talking about them losing to Memphis in their next game. So the list is endless. And again, we could talk till the cows come home here just about how bad this quarterback is, how bad the situation has been. When Florida State was such a great story last year, leading up till getting snubbed, the embarrassment against Georgia, And then, of course, the first two losses here. As I broke in the intro, my good friend Scott Kelly was over here. We were doing a fantasy football draft, and I was like, the Bruins need to shake it up. I said they have to shake this thing up. Swayman wants $10 million a year. He thinks he's Vasilevsky now, and I'm just like, come on, what have you done? Never mind. You're the fact is, you are a 1A. You're not a 1. You're not Vasilevsky and some of the other $10 million goaltenders here. You are how can I word this correctly? Because of the flip-flop, Ullmark, and then Swayman, Ullmark. Now we ship Ullmark away. Now you're supposed to be the standalone. Now you're going to stand off with this $10 million I want a year. So I said, Bruins, pick up the phone and let's shake it up here. Let's trade Bergeron and Swayman to the Oilers for Mr. $14 million man. So I'll allow you to break the news.
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl, Edmonton Oilers, fresh off a Stanley Cup appearance. Of course, they did not get the win over the Florida Panthers, but 8 years, $14 million, and that will kick off next year, which is now going to be the largest contract in the NHL as it stands. And of course, Jeff, as you know, and all the viewers know, every contract being signed by a superstar player is always going to be the newest, highest contract in the league. It's just how it works. You see it happen in the NBA, you see it happen in the NFL as the years progress, and as the new contracts hit, the new contracts are higher and higher and higher. But Jeff, the big point for me with this is 8 years, and nobody should be surprised by this, but 8 years is that's the term that these superstars go for. And it wasn't any type of bridge deal. It wasn't 4 years. It wasn't 5 years. Obviously, he is comfortable where he is. He's playing alongside the greatest player in hockey right now, which is Connor McDavid. They work very well together. And one thing about this Oilers team, as much as it's devastating to lose in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Florida Panthers, a lot of teams have to go through it. They have to go through the heartbreak. They have to go through the tough times before they can kind of progress and end up getting over that hump. Yes, I do believe that the Stanley Cup is one of the hardest championships and trophies to win in all the sports. I will stand by that. And I'm a little biased, I guess, being a hockey fan, but will they get back there next season? I'm not sure. But are they going to be in the mix? Absolutely. And they've built on their bottom six. Their depth is there. I think the goaltending is something that definitely needs to be addressed, but I think they, really worked on it, and in the playoffs, it wasn't too bad. The big thing is the 8 years here, Jeff, and one thing I'll say about this Oilers team is that they're not going anywhere. They are not going anywhere, and you look at some other teams right now, and I'm not going to name names, but everybody's going to know who I'm thinking of because you know who I always rip on. A player like this deserves a contract like that after they've done what they've done. And I know that nobody can say that contracts are paid out based on playoff performances because guess what? Players don't get paid in the playoffs. They get paid for the regular season. But to me, what he's been able to do on a consistent basis, not just in the regular season, but also in the playoffs. Like, there were times last year in the playoffs, Jeff, especially in the early beginnings of the playoffs, he was far superior than Connor McDavid. I have no problem saying that. He was more consistent, more clutch, scoring those big goals. He's earned this contract, and I think that although contracts aren't supposed to be being paid out based on playoff performances, that should certainly be something teams consider when they're signing these big deals. So I don't think there was ever a question if he was going to stay or not. I think he didn't want to talk about it during the middle of last season. I always respect when players want to deal with these type of things in the off season, but the highest paid player in hockey now, $14 million. And if you ask a lot of these player agents, Jeff, they would probably tell you it should be more. They would tell you it should be higher. If you look at kind of, I don't know if inflation's the word to use, but if you look at the way things have grown over the last handful of years, hockey really hasn't made that much progress compared to a lot of other sports compared to what their revenue growth has been. So $14 million is great, but I look forward to seeing what the next contract is and the next one after that.
You know, you and I do 2 shows a week. We start the week here on Monday morning, or actually Tuesday this week, Monday or Tuesday mornings, and then we end on your channel on Fridays. We do a lot of CFL talk, and we did, a preseason, looked at some futures, looked at some under-overs, of course, and my inherited team, the Elks, now, I looked at their over 6.5, and everyone laughed. And they started out like the dumpster fire that they have been for years since we've started the CFL. All of a sudden, the switch came on. Something clicked. I mean, they look like the Kansas City Chiefs offense some weeks, and 13-6 halftime lead, and next thing you know, another win, 35 to whatever the final against the Calgary team, which we talk about. If you let them hang around, they're gonna get you. Well, the Elks didn't let them hang around last night.
They certainly didn't, Jeff. Sometimes people say your best offense is a good defense, but in the Elks case, their best defense is a good offense. They're not going to lose games if they can put up 30-plus points in each performance. That's really been the case for them, and so that's why they've been able to really take care of teams of the caliber of the Calgary Stampeders, because they usually find a way to make something happen on each drive, every second drive, a field goal, a touchdown, whatever it may be. And if their defense even gets them a handful of key stops, whether it's even forcing a field goal versus a touchdown, whether it's causing a punt, pinning themselves deep, but then getting out of it. And then, of course, the firing of the coach. I mean, you have to give credit to the whole new coaching staff there. Coach Jackson with the Edmonton Elks. And, it's really sad, Jeff, because Trey Ford, I think, only got 1 or 2 starts as the starter. Then he got injured, comes back, injured, and then now MBT has done very well with this Elks team. So obviously, I'm a big supporter of Ford, but we have to give credit to MBT because he lost his starting spot, handled it with a lot of grace and class. Then he comes back and absolutely, builds the best chemistry possible with all of his receivers, finding his targets. And what I look at with this Elks team is consistency. I look at they're not forcing anything. If they have to check it down to one of their mobile running backs, they will. If they have to go deep, they'll find a way to do so. But this Calgary Stampeders team, it's funny, Jeff, because they're starting to turn into who we thought they were. I remember at the start of the year, I said that they were this big ATS covering machine. But when you're a covering machine, it doesn't always mean that you're a great team. It just means you're being given advantageous spots, situational plays, whether you're big underdogs and you're covering those spreads, whether you're playing at home against a team that's been on the road for 3 straight weeks. They took advantage of teams that were in really bad spots. The big question is now in the West Division, how real are these Elks? How much noise can they make? And, of course, you got a team like the BC Lions trying to figure out who they are after they just bounced back with Nathan Rourke this past week. So the CFL, one thing we can say about this year is that there's no shortage of excitement and there's no shortage of competition. Of course, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I mean, what's with them this weekend and the Toronto Argos? I saw our good friend Ian Cameron saying, you know what, it's been a bad season, but at least we can say we beat the Argos in the Labor Day Classic, and that's how important that game is to them. So it goes to show right now, and all these games matter to these teams. The rivalries matter, and the cool thing about the CFL is we always talk about with these back-to-backs, as of course we've got a handful of games this week where it's going to be rematches, Saskatchewan and Winnipeg rematch, Calgary and Edmonton rematch, and pretty much just seeing a point spread flip there, Jeff.
We've got a couple minutes left here, Andrew. We won't be back together till Friday on your channel. I'm going to give you the opportunity. Thursday night, NFL kicks off. Kansas City hosts the Baltimore Ravens, the new look Ravens with King Henry in the backfield. Everyone, it's kind of one of those 50-50s. Do you Look at the slow start, Super Bowl hangover. I know it's the Chiefs. Now, don't forget they had the home opener last year versus the Lions, and they lost outright. The Ravens, known as fast starters. Any leans on the game, sides, totals, any props that you can give out to people for Thursday?
That's the funny thing I keep hearing, because we talk about a Super Bowl hangover, and it doesn't mean it's going to be a hangover for the full season. It's just about how hungover is the team for the first game. And as you mentioned, the Ravens, notorious great starters. Last year, a little bit of a different role for them, as I think they were 6.5, 7-point favorites. Well, now they find themselves as short dogs in their week one, so obviously a little bit different. Jeff, we saw the number at 47.5. I'm seeing 46.5 now. I do lean towards the under still in this ball game. When you look at the first two games of the year, even in the NFL, with my Packers playing the Eagles Friday night, would not shock me in the slightest for us to see the first two unders hit to start off this NFL season. You know how it is. Primetime unders, primetime underdogs seem to be plays that you can make money on throughout a season. Obviously, week one might be a little bit different, but I think when you look at Patrick Mahomes, when you look at Lamar Jackson, people kind of forget about what their defenses are capable of. We got a number one team in yards yards allowed per completion. We got a number 3 in yards allowed per completion. Baltimore 1, Kansas City 3. We've got two teams that can run the ball. We know that. We know Pacheco is only going to get more touches. We know a handful of guys are going to be involved. We know the quarterbacks both like to run the ball. What does that do? It kills the clock. The clock ticks. And you throw in the mixture of Derrick Henry, I think that's going to be even more touches in the rushing game for this Ravens team. If they can get that run game solidified, it'll open things up for those receivers, and I feel like it'll make this team very dangerous. So I do lean towards the under in this ball game. A lot of times what I do, though, Jeff, in week one in the NFL, in game one of the season, I like betting that first half under, because sometimes you can see the teams go in the locker room, open things up a little bit, get a chance to see what they were able to find out from their opponent and kind of make changes that way. And something that you've taught me here, Jeff, when a lot of times you release these first half plays, when the first half number doesn't really make sense compared to what the full game number is, well, it makes sense in this one. However, we are seeing it shaded towards the under, 23.5 under -120. That's a play I will say I like here. A little bit of a contrarian play I'll go with actually as well. Player prop, Patrick Mahomes, longest completion under 35.5 yards. I really like that one. And I know this is going to be a little bit of a chalky one that everybody in the world's going to like, but I think it's going to win, and it's worth mentioning on the show. Give me Derrick Henry touchdown -115.
And I can't let you leave without a prediction for your Packers on Friday night in Brazil.
I like the cover. I really do. I like what I'm seeing from them in the offseason. I think that this is a team that, if the defense can show up, if the defense can make plays, I really like what I'm seeing from the Packers. And the big thing for me is the word health. Last year, they were able to do everything that they did, and they weren't even healthy from start to finish. No team in the game of football is going to be healthy for a full season, but this Packers team dealt with injuries from week 1 to almost week 9 or 10, and then they were able to go on the run that they did, Jeff. When you got a team going on the road, or I guess both teams on the road, in the situation that they're in, and I think that there's no such thing as a hangover for this Packers team off the great performance they had in the playoffs. They want to prove that it wasn't a fluke. I think there's some new pieces here with the Eagles, some things to figure out, and I'm not as high on them as many people are. So I'll take the points I'm getting with them here, and I think you got to sprinkle on that money line.
Scroll has been going the whole time, Andrew. Everyone knows, as Fenway's got to steal the show as he did on Sunday for Sports Grid. I got booted off at the end of the segment because he was going crazy. Dogs were barking as we were talking USC, and of course they go and win outright against LSU. Go follow you, obviously, at McInnis Picks, at Wager Talk. But as we always end the show, tell them what you got for the listeners there at Wager Talk this week.
So we're going to have a player prop package up for the Thursday night game, which might be 2 plays, might be 3. but we're going to have one up for the entire week 1. And I'll tell you what, Jeff, and your viewers know this, and you know this, with the company name East Coast Sports Investors, the lines move with player props. Player props are not something you should be locking in an hour before game starts on Sunday. This is something, the player props are available right now, and the numbers are going to change from Tuesday to Thursday to Sunday. So you want to jump in, grab that package, and get all the player props that I release. A few best bets as well. I want to give out a pick real quick on your show. I do like the Panthers to cover this week, plus the points. I think they're going to get the job done. I'm playing the money line as well. I got down at plus 4.5, but I do think that team can get the job done. And it's an ugly game, but I do like that one. But if anybody wants my plays, you can get 3 days, all sports, baseball, CFL, and NFL for $49. No promo code needed. And if you're watching this video, hit the like button, show some love. Always great starting the week with you, Jeff. I know it's Tuesday, but a little vacation yesterday, so this is the start of my week.
The one and only Andrew McInnis. Go follow him at McInnis Picks and, of course, at Wager Talk. We'll be talking throughout the week, Andrew. Look forward to reciprocating on your channel, of course, on Friday. Have the best week going, okay, sir?
Thanks so much, Jeff. Take care.
Take care. Next on deck, they call him Beam 'em Up Scotty. We'll come right back live from Tampa with Scotty Webb in 30 seconds.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop, come on, take me higher.
The one, the infamous, Beam 'em Up Scotty, Mr. Scotty Webb.
I didn't know I was that infamous.
You are the man, the myth, the legend. What's up, brother?
Hey, man, it's football time, right? Florida State can't do anything, but other than that, it's all right. And well, we're in September, the first week of September, so me, I'm out here doing Halloween stuff.
Yeah, pumpkin spice. I know your wife's probably got some new toys for you to put up, so I know. Make sure you ice those knees, Scotty.
I have back pain already. The new fog machine showed up yesterday.
Well, and the funny is, November 1st, you pull them down, and in comes the Christmas stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the way it works. Yeah.
As you said, it's September 3rd. What Labor Day has passed. As I started the show, the 3 Fs, fall, football, and fools, all the trolls start come running out. And it's kind of funny because everyone forgets about baseball. And everyone forgets what got us here, Scotty. Our good friend, Mr. Senior Lucky, even timestamped the fact that we talked about it's time to buy some Padre tickets. And that, I think, was sometime in June. Padres, Diamondbacks, hotter than a firecracker. Diamondbacks are slowed down. But my point is, I was asked on Sports Grid last night, NL and AL sleeper, and my NL sleeper was the Padres. If I'm the Phillies, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm pooping bricks right now because thank God I got another month. Hopefully they simmer down. And in the American League, I took a team that's cold right now, and I think some of it was part what I see as the landscape. And the fact is, I have no faith in my Red Sox. Unfortunately, the other day, Grissom, perfect game through 4, and the call had already come down before the start of the game. Hey, get him in for 4 and get him out. He had 58 pitches, Scotty. 12 up, 12 down. Red Sox 1-0 lead. In comes Rich Hill, who pitched with Ted Williams, by the way, and just blows the lead. So give us the landscape where we sit right now, AL and NL, on September 3rd.
Yeah, I think that looking at where the division races are and the wild cards and stuff, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of movement. I think the Braves are having a possibility that they could fall out and not make it. It depends on the Mets, and there's a pitcher pitching for the Mets today that I don't think anybody is giving credit for what he's done, Peterson. So he's made 16 starts, Jeff, and the difference in the division is his record in those starts. The Mets are 13-3 when Peterson starts, and almost single-handedly since he's been there. And Mania made a pitching change to his arm slot, and he's pitching like an ace. But I would say that the difference is that you got Peterson who's 13-3. That's 10 games over 500 from that one pitcher, and he didn't pitch like in the first part of the season. So all he's done is take the gap of that second, third, fourth guy, and then go win those games for them. Severino's been a 500 pitcher. Mania's been pretty good. So I think the Mets have a chance. I think they're only a half a game back now of where the Braves are. But what do we got? We got like 25 games left, I think. So we're down to the wire here with some of these teams. And in the American League, the Red Sox just didn't do what they needed to do over the past week or so. They just you can't go catch teams unless you're playing winning baseball. You got to be 6-4. You got to be 7-3 in the last 10 games. And I think that's a team that had a chance to get there, but I don't they're not there. So if you're not there, I got them right here. Red Sox. 3-7 in the last 10 games. That's not going to get it done when you're trying to get to make that the number. So I think there's not a lot of chance for these teams to move around much. It'll take a catastrophe for somebody, but the catastrophes happen, and like the Royals, right? So everybody's been high on the Royals, and the Royals went and tied Cleveland. Okay, well, where are they now? In the last 10 games for the Royals, the Royals are 3-7, and it's not like Cleveland's killing anybody because they're just not. I think Minnesota can still catch up and beat all of them. So it's kind of a weird spot here. Minnesota, if they can start hitting again, they're the best team in that division. They're better than Cleveland. They're better than Kansas City, and they got some decent pitching. This kid Festa, who's pitching today, that kid is dynamite. He's been good, so it's taken him a couple starts to get used to what he's doing. But and then looking at the slate today, holy crap! There's a lot of bad pitchers pitching today. It's like holy crap! These guys are going to score all kinds of runs.
Down another injury for the Dodgers as Kershaw is back on the shelf. Just looking, Glass now on the shelf. Buehler is not Buehler that we know. No faith of Yamamoto coming back. But they just seem next man up. And as I'm looking at this, kind of the light bulb went on. I talked at length, Scotty, leading up to the All-Star break in the East. The Orioles had like a 2 or 3 game lead on the Yankees, yet the Yankees were still favored to win the East. And I'm like, man, these books are bullish on the Yankees. And then we keep looking at the Dodgers. Everyone wanted to anoint the Phillies with their fast start, opposite of what they've done in the past couple of years. Slow starts, big second halves. We've seen what the Padres have done and what the Diamondbacks have done. You're talking about the Mets, the Braves coming back. I mean, there's a million moving pieces here. The light bulb went on. Somehow, some way, in the last week of October, I'm rooting for the Padres. My Giants didn't make the move that I thought. I'm rooting for the Padres. But the light bulb went on. I think we're going to see a Dodgers versus Yankees. I really do.
That wouldn't bother me. My thoughts is that I think it's a nip and tuck. It's like every week when I do my numbers and stuff, the Orioles are a little bit ahead, and then the Yankees are a little bit ahead, then the Orioles are a little bit ahead, the Yankees a little bit. But the Astros aren't there. The Guardians, the Royals, those teams aren't there. So so I can see, Orioles, Yankees. That's my opinion, right? And it depends on who's going to pitch, because you're going to need Burns to pitch better than what he has in his last couple starts. You're going to need Garrett Cole to pitch better than what he has in his last couple starts. Luis Heel for the Yankees has hit an innings issue. He hasn't pitched as many innings as he has so far, so his stuff hasn't been as dynamic. The Yankees need some good things from Rodon, and I don't know that you can count on Rodon. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that out. Where the beginning of the season for the Yankees, the strength was, their strength was bullpen. Their bullpen was pretty good. They didn't lose games at the beginning of the season because their bullpen kept them going. I think their bullpen's worn out. I think their bullpen's in bad shape. But I don't think Baltimore's is any better. So I don't necessarily agree that those two things are that way. My only problem with the Yankees is they're reliant on two guys to the degree that it's pathetic. If you don't have Judge hitting and you don't have, so let me ask you this question. It's been crossing my mind forever. Well, not forever, but for lately. When you make the playoffs, and I get it, you're going to have quality pitching most of the time in the playoffs. What's to say you try to get Soto out, but you just walk Aaron Judge every time. You just walk him every time, because if you walk him, there's no penalty behind that. I mean, they're batting the catcher Wells in the 4th spot and then Stanton in the 5th spot. And if you have quality pitching, Stanton swings at those pitches that are 5 feet outside and 2 inches off the ground. I think you're going to get him out. And I think, Wells is a hit or miss kind of guy and mostly miss. So, I think you're going to get him out. And then you got Chisholm. So what's the penalty to be walking Aaron Judge every time he comes up to bat in the playoffs? I don't think there is one, because then if you do that, you've eliminated their big two. You only have a big one in Soto. If you can get Soto out the majority time, then you don't have you're not paying a penalty. So I think teams are going to do that, and I think the Yankees are going to have to figure out ways to score runs, and they don't have a deep offense. They just got Rizzo back, but what does that mean? He's as old as I am. So I don't think that he's the big stir that's going to come back and help that team. Where I think the Orioles have been on pause. I don't want to, Rushman has not been hitting. Henderson has not been hitting. Those guys are going to hit again. And when they come back through that cycle, they're going to be deep and thick. They're going to score runs from 7, 8, 9 hole just as easy as they can from, the top of the order. And I think that gives them an edge that way.
Well, we talk about the Dodgers. We talk about the front three. We talk about Betts, Freeman, Ohtani. And if, how you're going to pitch around those guys, well, it's always someone else stepping up. For the Yankees, they're going to need a third bat. And, Scott, I'll tell you how you correct walking Judge every time. You just move him in front of Soto. You just change the lineup where Soto bats in front of Judge bats in front of Soto. You want to walk Judge every time? Fine. Now I get Soto up to hit a 2-run homer. So I'm ready right now. You want to start walking Judge every time? Well, you see what happens in Game 2 and the lineup card when Judge is batting in front of Soto.
I'd like to see Aaron Boone make that decision. Maybe they would be forced to from the upper level management. I don't know, but I think like the Dodgers, they're like a softball team. You got Ohtani out there that steals bases, hits home runs. followed by Betts now, who's back, and then Freeman, right, and then Teoscar Hernandez, and then Will Smith, and then and Gavin Lux is now hitting, and then you get Max Muncy back. You got guys that are 6 deep, 7 deep in that lineup that are damaging blow kind of guys, but at the same time, been there, done that, clutch hitters. And I think that the difference there is that they'll get enough pitching to survive. And I think Glasnow will be back. I think he'll be on the mound. He'll be out there. Kershaw's been, he's been decent, but they need to get Bobby Miller fixed. They need Gavin Stone to keep doing what Gavin Stone's been doing, and they'll be fine. If they got to go score 5 runs, they'll score 10. I don't know. That's what they do. And the other thing that's interesting about the Dodgers, comparative to most teams, they hit quality pitching. I mean, they hit good pitchers. It's not like they don't go out there and if you throw your best pitcher out there and the Dodgers get up there and go, oh well, whatever, I can't hit that guy. They get on base, they create issues. And it starts right from the beginning. I was thinking about this. I was walking a dog yesterday. And I'm like, what the difference with some of these teams is? They've learned that if you bat Ohtani first, and as opposed to batting him third or second or fourth or whatever, right? You bat him first, the game starts with a threat. I mean, you got to be on the best part of your pitching right from the start of the game, and then it doesn't get any easier. Whereas you can't breathe. And I would say, even though Betts is an MVP kind of player, and Freeman's a great player and all that stuff, they're not Ohtani. And Ohtani's got 45 home runs and 50 stolen bases. Those guys aren't doing that anymore. Not that they really ever did, but Betts is still a great player. So I liked the construction of Ohtani first, because it matters. Like for the Yankees, they can't find a guy to bat first. They can't find a guy to set the table. They tried Volpe for all that time. They tried Verdugo. They don't have right now. They're trying Gleyber Torres. So they don't have that. Okay, the game starts off with, all right, I can get this guy out. Now the game starts when I got to deal with Soto. And if nobody's on base, okay, well, it's kind of pretty good. And if he gets a base hit, all right, then I can deal with Judge in a different way. But it's a different lineup, a different construction, a different mix. And I think that I don't know Max Muncy that well. Personally, I don't know him. But it seems to me this team's playing with a lot more energy right now than most of the other teams. And a lot of that, I think, Max Muncy's been out for a long time. He's back in that lineup. So I don't know if that's part of that energy revival or what, but I'm liking to watch the Dodgers. I can bet on them every day. I mean, I love watching the Dodgers.
I think I said this back in spring training, and shame on the Red Sox not to spend the $10 million. The best addition, other than Ohtani, meaning for MVP on this Dodger team, was the addition of Teoscar Hernandez. When they were slumping with the injuries, he was hitting homer, clutch hit after homer after clutch hit, and he just lengthens that lineup, Scotty.
Well, so prior to him being a Dodger, I mean, he didn't have great success in Seattle, but if you're watching Seattle play today, there's something wrong with the stadium, the environment, or something, because all those guys can't hit in there. So that's not a detriment to him, and maybe the Dodgers picked that up and kind of were like, yeah, nobody hits in Seattle. But prior to that, when he was with the Blue Jays, he's hitting 35 home runs and 100 RBIs, and he's doing great. What I didn't know or didn't really realize is what a good guy he is, and what a guy that helps glue the team together, and he creates energy too, and he's got a smile on his face, and man, he's just a great guy. You know, and I don't like ESPN for miking up those guys and putting them on in the game, and then, you know, the announcers are talking to them when they're playing. But I will tell you that it enlightened me a lot as to who Teoscar Hernandez was when they did that with him. I mean, it was unbelievable to see his personality come through and shine. And obviously, being in LA and not in Toronto or not in Seattle, he's in a market where he can see that, and people can see that and see what his value is. But there's no question that Teoscar Hernandez at times carries the Dodgers. You know, when Betts wasn't there and Freddie Freeman wasn't hitting, Teoscar Hernandez is the guy after Ohtani. So he was doing it. He was doing what was necessary to get done. And, you know, I like the makeup of that team. You know, I like you can see what that team does, and then you go watch the Yankees play, and it's not that they fight, but they don't have that same camaraderie that they're playing for each other that the Dodgers do. You know, the Judge is out there trying to hit 50 home runs. Soto's trying to get a contract for next year. Gleyber Torres is trying to keep the press off his back because he plays, you know, second base, and they don't like him there. You know, Verdugo is Verdugo, and whatever's going on there. They don't have a camaraderie as a team that you know plays for each other. It doesn't seem like they probably like each other and all that, but I just don't see it the same way as I see what the Dodgers do.
Scotty, we've got about 5-6 minutes left. We got a full slate of baseball. We know you'll be back at 6:15 for In the Batter's Box, where you break down the MLB card. Whether it's a couple nuggets tonight before your show, maybe it's a little football on Thursday or Friday. The stage is yours here for, like I said, the next 5-6 minutes to talk about wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I thought that there's a couple of interesting spots in baseball today that are trying. I got to do a little more deeper dive here before. So the Phillies, they're projected to win, you know, 95 games or whatever it is, something in that neighborhood, and they're playing in Toronto today, and you know, Bassett's on the mound for Toronto. It's not a scary guy to be on the mound. He's not going to go out there and he's a bulldog kind of guy, but he's not a dominant pitcher type, and he's certainly not a strikeout machine. So the Phillies go there, and I get it. They throw a kid. Phillips is going to pitch for them. But what I don't, there's no way in my head, like zero way in my head, that the Philadelphia Phillies today should be an underdog to the Toronto Blue Jays. Ever. Like ever. The only way it would make sense to me is if Walker was pitching for the Phillies, right? If Walker was pitching for the Phillies, he's going to go out there and he's going to give up 5 runs. That's just what's going to happen. Well, that's not who's pitching. It's Phillips. And when I pull up my numbers, where's my numbers on Phillips? Up, there we go. So Phillips has made 6 starts, I think, right? Philadelphia, there you are. He's made 6 starts in this, and he's had some good starts and some bad ones. But the key is, in the 6 starts, the Phillies are 5-1. So there is no way that the Phillies should be the underdog at a 95 win clip rate, and you're talking about the Rays and the Blue Jays battling for the last spot in the American League East. It's just, there's no way. So I think that's a weird spot. And the other one that I thought was kind of a weird spot is the books are giving way too much value to the Rays. The Rays aren't any good. You know, they're how do I say this? The Rays are probably closer to what the Oakland A's are than they are to what the Yankees are, right? They're closer to being a bottom feeder team than they are to being a competitive team. So when you then have the Minnesota Twins come in and you have this kid Festa pitch, and I get it, it's Jeffrey Springs, Well, Jeffrey Springs he's only made like 7 starts off the disabled list, and he's not been but an average pitcher. Well, Festa's a little better than an average pitcher, and you've got a team that can hit against the Rays, who don't score any runs and can't hit. And here you go again with Minnesota being an underdog. These books are, I think some of these lines are just crazy. I get it where you're going to have Chris Sale be a minus 400, and you're going to have some of these teams be minus 300 and all that stuff. I get how all that works, especially this time of season. But where I'm having difficulty wrapping my head around some of that, because Minnesota's a much better team than where they're a better than 500 team, and the Rays are struggling to not be last place. So that in itself means that Minnesota shouldn't be an underdog. And when you match up the pitchers, okay, Springs and Festa, if you want to give Springs the benefit of the doubt that he can pitch, which I don't mind, I think that, okay, maybe you sit there and go, all right, maybe Minnesota's minus 110, minus 115 or something. But my opinion would be there's no way that should be in that category. I think, when you're talking about the NFL and coming up for Thursday and Friday, I think there's one big thing about Friday. I don't think any of those guys want to be there. So they don't want to be in Brazil. I think there's all kind of political nonsense going on over there, and I saw something. I don't remember which player it was, but told his wife and his family they can't come. The NFL's told those guys they can't go anywhere except stay in the hotel. It's not safe to be anywhere. I'm like, why are we doing this? So I don't understand the principle behind. I get it; they're trying to grow the sport globally, but maybe not there. So I'm trying to get sort of an understanding a little bit about how to use some of that to figure out what works in an NFL game based on nobody wanting to be there. But the first game, I'm going to have probably a little different opinion than what your first guest maybe had. I didn't hear all the comments, but I think the Chiefs are better than what they were last year. I think the Chiefs got better on offense, and they got a little deeper in the wide receiver position. I think there's a little more weapons there to work with. And to be honest, I think Baltimore, I know everybody likes the idea that, they got a big running back now and Derrick Henry and all that kind of stuff. But I think they're going to lose they're going to miss, I shouldn't say it that way. They're going to miss the defensive coordinator who went on to be now a head coach, McDonald. They're going to miss him. And they lost a little bit of players on the defense. So my opinion is going to be I think Baltimore is a little worse coming into the season. And I think the Chiefs are a little better. And if Russell Saylor says Brazil's NFL's test run for America turns into a third world country, I love that comment. So I think when you think about it from that perspective, I think that the Chiefs, field goal or less, I think you can go there. I also think that the scoring might be a little higher than what people think. I think there might be some scoring here. And then in the other game, I don't know how you can't be liking what Philadelphia did all off season. I get it. They got to put it all together. They got to, it's the first game, and, you've got, players that are coming in, and Saquon Barkley and all the other stuff that hasn't been seen, and, and all that kind of stuff against the Packers team that, quite frankly, I think they're youthful and they grew a lot. But which Packers team are they? Are they the ones that were trying to figure it out, or are they the ones that maybe did figure it out? My opinion is that their defense isn't that great. I think they played good defense towards the back end of the playoffs, but I think they got rid of their defense coordinator. They got a new defensive coordinator. They've got more pressure packages that they're going to try to employ. And to be quite honest, I think that's what the Eagles pick apart. So I kind of like the favorites in both games.
Scotty Webb, go follow him at Webby20MLB. He'll be back tonight on this network, 6:15 in the batter's box. Scotty, we can't thank you enough. We'll be talking throughout the week. Best of luck tonight at 6:15. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
The infamous Scotty Webb. Go follow him at Webby20MLB. Go download, go check out his website. I mean, for pennies on the dollar, you get information second to none. Scotty's the best in the business when it comes to that. Quick commercial break and then a quick wrap up, and we'll call it a day.
ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Shout out to our two guests, friends, family, colleagues, Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, and of course Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. The rest of the day on our network, we have a debut show, guys. Check it out. Our producer, the best in the business, Mr. Noah Frank, will be live at 2 o'clock Eastern, Balls and Bow Ties. They'll be talking all kinds of sports live on campus at certain events. Take a look at them. 2 o'clock Eastern, Balls and Bow Ties. There as we are hearing Tears for Fears. 5 o'clock, the closing bell with myself and Riley Magnuson. And of course, Scotty Webb back at 6:15 for In the Batter's Box. Shout out to Mr. Russell Saylor. And shout out to these fat thumbs. We were not live on Twitter today because somehow, some way, my fat thumbs missed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the show on YouTube. If you missed it, go on over to YouTube, Twitch. You can play it back there. So again, thank everyone for watching and listening. It's Tuesday, not Monday. It's Tuesday, the start of a new week. NFL kicks off on Thursday and Friday. Baseball throughout the week. Thank you so much. We will see you soon.